Oh, sorry.
No, it's
Did I mess
perfect.
you up?
No, it's perfect.
Okay.
It's absolutely perfect. Hello and welcome to the Strength of G podcast. Welcome back for episode 6. No, what did I say? Yes, 6. 6. It is 6.
I think it's 6.
It's correct. I'm here with Eliza or Wrenne.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer?
If you want to promote my music, then it's Wrenne.
Okay, then. Let's say Wrenne.
But
Wrenne
you
music.
Call me Eliza.
Well, I might. It's good for people to know because I might instinctively at some point just say Eliza, and then they'll be like, "Who's Eliza?" So, I'm here with Wrenne, who is my first guest on the podcast, and
Such a privilege.
I'm going to interview her today with a few questions. We're in her home, which is a beautiful, super colourful home, as you can see. There's a lot of paintings in the background. And I'm wearing a vintage coat, which I just picked up off her door because I was a bit chilly. And it's really cute.
It looks so good
I
on
really
you.
like it, yeah. I love that. Do you wear it inside out? Like you can wear it either way. It's so cute. So yeah.
Yeah.
And
Looks good.
We've been on a run today.
We went for your first 10K since you were 18.
Yeah.
And that was wonderful.
That was good.
And
It was
I don't
really
run
good.
that often anymore unless I'm like just having the best time on the treadmill.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
music. So that was a really nice
Which
run.
never happens for me. That happens for you.
Yeah, I sometimes have the best time on treadmills. But I really liked breaking in some new trail running shoes.
Yeah.
And we ran 5 loops around a 2K route.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
could
around
tell
the-
where you were in the 10Ks. You knew when it was the last 2K. So you didn't have to be like, when's it going to end? You knew exactly when it was going to end.
Yeah.
That was good, right? Because I think sometimes it's harder when you don't know the ending.
Yeah, especially like in a town that I don't know, and I'd be following you, but I wouldn't know, like, are we halfway? Are we 3/4 of the way? Yeah, so that was helpful to just know we've done 1 loop, we've got 4 more to do. And it was like a little bit daunting, but then every time it's like, okay, we've got 3 more to do, 2 more to do. And then it started to feel easy.
Yeah.
It was cool, it was cool. And and
And
that was great.
You were strong.
Yeah, I'm glad I did it. It was a little challenge I set myself actually because I have always run 5Ks just like as and when, if I'm on holiday or at my dad's. And then in December, I was like, why don't I run 6K? I've never run 6K. I always run 5 or less. So I did 6K, then I did 7K, then I did 8. And then I was like, maybe I'll do a 10K. And so then my main priority was like not getting injured for parkour. So I was like cautious to not just push it for a number's sake.
Yeah.
But then I reached out to you because you're a really strong runner, and I was like, I've run with you before, and I was like, actually, it'd be quite nice to have Eliza like next to me, and just I know she'll be chatting away, or if I'm really struggling, she'll be like, let's keep going. And so I reached out to you like 2 weeks ago and said, do you want to do a 10K with me?
Yeah.
And now we've done it.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
It was so good. And we also trained muscle ups. So
Yes, yesterday.
if your audience is coming back to your podcast, they'll know that you and I are keeping in touch with each other about our goals. So
yes.
you had this goal and I have this muscle up goal you're helping me with. We've been really productive.
Yeah, very productive. So just looping back to like, who is Eliza? Who is Wrenne? Because I haven't introduced you. And yeah, I mean, I guess to me, you're a really good friend. And someone, we've known each other, I guess we were talking about it earlier about the first experiences together, but like, what did we say? Like 2018? We think.
Yeah.
2018. So it's been a while now. It's been like 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years? Yeah. I met Eliza or Wrenne through parkour, through the parkour gym that we were both attending. And I was very impressed by her and by what she was doing. You were actually, we didn't talk about this earlier, but you were a very busy person, like a very productive, kind of business-minded person in my eyes.
Cool.
Like, absolutely an artist. Eliza or Wrenne is a singer, musician, performer, mom. But you were doing all of it. You were like juggling a lot of things, and I think I was a little bit inspired by that. And like, oh, I need to hang out with that person. And like,
that's what you're like.
Yeah.
I think that's how I perceive you.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
and yeah, no, and you're right. I am a very busy person, and I enjoy doing stuff and creating stuff. So I think I saw I think this is a whole other topic, but like I think I saw myself a bit in you, but something I wanted more of for myself, and I was like, okay, let me go talk to that person. And yeah, you were doing a lot of cool stuff at the time. Oh,
Sorry.
it's okay. But I guess, yeah. Is there anything else you want to introduce yourself as?
No, I mean, of course, when you met me, I was working on a show, a live show that had a lot of physical movement into it. I was at the time doing like recording projects, and I was releasing an album, which we had made a live show that coincides with it, which got to be at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival that year. So when you saw me, there was kind of like a team of people around me, other parkour artists, like helping me with movement and trying to work out how to bring parkour movement into my live show. And then I've carried on with that sort of practice of trying to bring movement into my creative expression when it comes to making art pieces. And so I guess since then I've just carried on that path. And so one thing you told me you wanted to talk to me about, which was how to train with a teenager around.
Yes.
So, because when you met me, my daughter was 9 or something. No, 7, 8, 9.
2018. When was she born?
2009. So
9. Yeah, 9.
Yeah. And she was swinging on bars, and I was just bringing her with me.
Yeah, she came everywhere. One thing I'll add just before you start is that the reason I wanted you on the podcast as well is because, like, I think it's an interesting chat to have with you about training and how you fit it around being a mom and how, like, someone, you know, like you, who's quite ambitious, has goals for her career, for her music, but also wants to be a great mom, wants to be there for her daughter, and how you fit all that together. I think that's interesting for a lot of people who are either, you know, thinking about having kids or have young kids that are not teenagers yet. You know, Darwin's now 15?
15.
So, like, there's been different phases, or you've already been through a lot of those phases of, like, newborn stage and then child and then teenager. And I think for a lot of my clients as well, it's interesting to hear how you make it work. And obviously it's going to be different for everyone, and everyone has a different setup, and everyone is in a different situation, but still there are things you can take from people's experiences and learn from. So that's kind of was my main reason to bring Eliza on the podcast, was to talk about being a mom and how you train around having a teenager who still needs you. Like, it's not that she doesn't, and you can't just be, you know, missing in action. Like, you're still there for her, and how you fit your training around or what it's like training with a teenager.
Okay, so, like, let me just go back to before Darwin was born. Of course, I was really into running, and then when she was born, I had to figure out how to train with her. So I got a running pram, and I would just run everywhere with her in the pram. And then there was a local gym that had a creche in it, so I could, like, go to classes or, like, access other kinds of fitness with a creche. And then as she got older, and because my work would take me traveling a lot, she could just go with me because she was just, like, happy to be wherever I was. And so it was interesting because I can integrate her into my training. Like, when you met her and she was doing parkour with me, but she was loving to meet, like, young, cool role models that just like you to, like, and I loved that for her. But then I could also do my own training alongside. So I tried to bring her into environments. But one thing that's so different about being a teenager, the mom of a teenager, is there was, like, one moment when she was, like, probably 12, when she changed from primary school to secondary school. It was almost like a switch, and then suddenly she was like, see ya, Mom. Like, she didn't want to do the things that, she didn't want to follow me around. And I found it hard to, like, talk her into going on my quest. And so then I had to figure out how to bring my training around her, supporting her in her independence. And it has been a puzzle. And
it makes complete sense, but it's also like,
it's like the tables turn, and I can't just bring her into my journey. I have to, like, put myself around her journey. But then she doesn't, but in a way that she doesn't always tell you how she wants it to be, because she's trying to have autonomy she's trying to have autonomy from me, which is just totally important and typical for teenage years. So one major thing that happened is I joined a gym that has 6 a.m. classes. They were, like, kind of CrossFit style, high rock style classes. And then through that, I knew that I could train, like, in these dynamic ways and I tried to kind of, I would call it dance practice. You know, I'd perceive it as part of my artistic practice because I would approach those classes like I was in a movement practice, not just like trying to learn CrossFit or trying to get fit or whatever. I was just trying to immerse myself in like this hour of training time. And then it was at 6 a.m., which was an hour of the day when Darwin was still asleep. And she was old enough to be comfortable that I was out of the house for an hour. But then also it wasn't too far away that I felt like I was like being inappropriate or too unavailable to her. So
yeah, like it's really, just down the road.
Yeah, but it really, really helped me. And then also I had to change from the time of days that I train. Like normally I wouldn't wake up at 6 a.m, like to go train. That was really hard. Before I put myself to it, I was like, am I going to be able to love that? Because I knew it was a solution for our lifestyle, for working with a teenager in the house, but I didn't know if I would be capable of like happily training at 6 a.m. Actually, it really worked because you tend to see the same people every day. You start to make friends, and then it becomes kind of like a social thing. Like you wake up and you're going to go see some people, some other adults, which really was something that really motivated me to get there. Yeah. If I was just waking up at the 6 a.m. hour to like go for a run by myself, I probably would just be like, no, I'll just sleep. So I had to make sure I found ways that would make me do it.
Yeah, and eventually you had people waiting for you.
And then I made just best friends who were like, see you there, texting me at 5, are you awake? You know, like,
So then eventually it's like, well, he's waiting for me for a coffee, you know.
Yeah,
and
totally.
So that helps too.
Totally. Making a friend, making of time and a place that you can feel committed to. Yeah. So with a teenager, of course, she is into fitness too. Like, and there's still times when I can like take her to her dance class or her netball practice or whatever, and then I'm the teen taxi and I'm waiting around for 2 hours or 1 hour or whatever. And of course, I can use that time too to like do little bits if I want to practice some handstands or if I want to like use that time while I'm waiting around. But it's less collaborative in terms of like taking her, like, because my community was in London to do parkour, for example. So I haven't done parkour for ages, partly because I have to stay around home. Yeah. It's like this weird kind of teenage lockdown.
Yeah. It is weird because you'd think like, oh, you have more freedom because she's a teenager now. But it's like, you might have 2 hours free, 3 hours free or even 5 hours free when she's at a friend. Yeah. But she still needs picking up.
Yes.
And that's different.
Yeah.
She needs you more as a taxi. And you can't just go down to London. You can go down to London for a weekend, but you either got to bring her with and her be on board with that, or her just have to suck it up, or you don't. She's too old
for a babysitter. Yeah. You know, you can't just like... go out of town or on a journey and leave her with a babysitter.
Yeah, and you can leave her at a sleepover, but you don't, those are your weekends with her. You don't want to just be like, just go for a sleepover, you know.
That's right.
You also want to have dinner with her or have breakfast with her in the morning. So it's interesting, how it's changed.
Yeah, it's changed so much. Every chapter changes, but I actually think it's so good to embrace the change, because in my journey, every time my training modality changes, like from running to like, then I was doing trampolining, and then I was doing parkour a lot, and then I was doing this CrossFit style training, and then now I'm kind of looking at calisthenics a little bit more. And each time my body gets something different, and I sometimes think like I couldn't have done that forever. The last thing that I was doing, if I did that forever, I'd be getting injured. So actually, I like to see that as embracing the change. Same with raising a child. Like, they're always changing too. So don't get stuck in this pattern of like, oh, I wish it was so much better when she was 9 or whatever, because then you miss out on like, oh, this is so cool. Like, look at the independence she's having. And like, if you can take that aspect, not just in your training, but like everything. It's nice being around a child or having this journey to like, forces you to like always be realizing change.
And your journey has changed a lot too, in the sense, like, to be fair to Darwin and to teenagers, like, she's not the only reason you spent more time at home and not come to London, like even on the weekends when she's with her dad and stuff. you've also been doing a degree.
Yeah.
And you probably chose the degree also, like a master's degree because it kept you more at home, which you knew was important for Darwin.
That's right.
So it goes both ways. But the reality is that you decided to do this master's that you really wanted to do, that you've loved, and you've finished now. But that also has kept, like, sometimes when Darwin's at her dad, you have, like, your writing you need to do and your coursework you need to do. So, like, it's not just been that, but
that's right.
That's a new thing as well.
That's right. And I channel a lot of my creativity through my fitness training. So maybe it's, some people might think like they're going on this fitness journey to like they might think I'm gonna do this thing and be this person because of this thing, like running, right? Oh, I don't know what I'm trying to articulate.
I was looking at the lighting.
No, that's okay. I'm not sure what I'm trying to articulate, except that I don't know if everybody sees their fitness journey like how I see my fitness journey, which is really part and parcel of my artistic creative journey. Yeah. So like my running is for like how to make music, and my parkour is like how to express myself on stage, or like, but then it drives me to like figure out how to do a wall climb, because then I can express myself with a wall. You know, like it gives me more options in terms of self-expression. So for me, fitness is about self-expression. Yeah. It's not to like lose weight or fit my clothes better or look pretty to people. Because gosh, like if you said how many people say to me regularly, like, gosh, you're so hench. And I feel so like manly when they say that to me, like, like, are my arms too big? Like it makes me self-conscious, but then I'm like, but I would never change my strength to look better to you. Or they're giving me compliments when they say that, but plenty of people would be like, probably be judgmental about that look on a woman. Or it is. It depends on who you're asking. Yeah. But like you can get stuck in this thing of how am I supposed to look to be attractive to others, or like what's some aesthetic detail with fitness. But to me, it always comes down to like my basic value in my fitness journey is, does it help me express myself? Does it give me more options to express myself? Yeah. Some people might be like, will this help me live longer with a better quality of life? Some people might say, will this help me win a competition? Because to them it's about like a competitive detail. And some people it might be like, will this help me look better in my swimming suit?
Yeah, it's interesting. And that's definitely been a constant for you for a long time.
Yeah, the self-expression. Yeah. That's why your why. Yeah. Yeah. My why is for, can I express myself better?
Well, on that, because I don't know, I said like that's been a constant for you for a long time, but I don't know if it was in the beginning. Like maybe it was, but how did you get started in fitness?
Good question. So I guess the first, like I was always self-conscious in sports and like PE class and stuff in elementary school. But when I was 16, and my dad would always like come home from a run. Like my parents, they kept fit on the mountains. We grew up in a little town in the countryside. And so I had that family influence of like having a healthy body, I suppose. But it wasn't until I was 16, I kind of just like feeling like I should just go for a run. And it just kind of came from the inside out, like I should run. So I just started going for little runs and then longer runs. And of course, running can make you really happy. Like you get nice feelings. And I remember like loads of times like going for lots of runs over a long span of time and being like, oh, I can't imagine a life where I wouldn't just be running every day. But then a few months would pass and I never went for a run because I was a busy teenager or, young adult. And then eventually that feeling would come back like, I want to go for a run. And then I would be like, why haven't I been doing this every day? Like it feels like this like basic need to just like run. So that's how it started. And then at uni, I met a roommate who like wanted to lose weight and read a book about like Body for Life, 6-week fix or something. And she's like, do you want to do this? Read this? Do you want to join this gym? And that's when I started, first time got like exposed to like a gym with weights and classes. And so then I would go like I followed that program, you know, where you do chest day and then back day and then leg day and then, you know, like plan your meals. So there's 6 meals a day with protein and carbs, you know, like I remember really clearly what that plan was, and I was doing it alongside her. But then I was like going to the yoga classes and the body pump classes and like seeing how people would train to music, or like the yoga felt kind of like a dance, or, you know, like, so then I started realizing like connecting myself to my body. And then I was studying musical theater for my bachelor's, and so of course I was an expressive person, but I didn't grow up in like dance classes and things. But I always felt this kinetic, like, that I wanted to be a dancer, but I never dared or something. So I started, but I was, you know, coordinated. I knew I was coordinated. I knew that about myself. So I had a lot of imposter syndrome when it came to like feeling like I could dance, but always wanted to. And then my fitness journey ended up like when I moved to London, then I didn't have access to like those things, university class, dance classes. And then I just started thinking of my run like a dance. And I started thinking of the yoga mat like a place to make those shapes be it like a dance. And so I got naturally kind of embarked on this journey of feeling like any movement, like how can I make it find beauty in it? Like, do you know what I mean? And that's probably why when I first got introduced to parkour many years later, I recognized it as like a dance. I was like, whoa, that's all the things I ever wanted to do. Somebody there, because it's an art form, I think. Like, you have to be really creative when you have to be really creative and super athletic, but super creative to like find a line. And
there isn't like one way to do it. It's not like playing a tennis match where you're like, well, you hit the ball over the net, not behind you, not, you know, you hit the ball over the net. Whereas with parkour, it's not really like that. There's not like
it's a game you
handbook
play
of like, exactly.
And sorry, I totally just cut you off.
No.
It's a game you play with yourself, and it's like a fundamental value in parkour is to be authentic, like to move like you. Don't like copy anyone. Like I remember going to workshops, you know, like with who was it, Stefan Vigru, who was like did a whole thing about like move like you. How do you move? So that all of that really spoke to me as an artist.
Yeah, true. Yeah, everyone has their own style. Even if you try not to and you try to copy someone, everyone's body is different. Everyone's like explosivity or agility or power, control, flow is just the way their body moves is slightly different. So you're definitely better off kind of leaning into what works for you and just exploring and figuring out what movements do work for you best. I feel like we all emulate, we all take inspiration. You know, you're always like watching someone and like, oh, Camilla has such good flow, and it's like I would like to have more flow. But I know that my flow, when I get it right and it's like a beautiful movement, it's still going to look different from hers. We're such different people, and and there's no script, there's no like handbook, and I will be training in a different location from her, so the walls I'm using are different, the distance between them is different. So it's so individual in that sense, in a good way, like it.
And even if you do the same line, like it's like two different singers singing the same song. Like they sound different because they have different voices.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, what else are we going to chat about today? Was there a time where you struggled with motivation, and how did you deal with that? Maybe there were multiple times in your life, but
I'm just thinking of. I mean, I feel extra self-motivated, but the time when I knew you were going to ask me that question, I was like, I immediately thought of that when I decided to do a 6 a.m. commitment to train in that hour of the morning before it was part of my lifestyle. Like I normally wouldn't wake up that early or go to bed early enough for that. And I was worried I would struggle with motivation, and probably like had not everything just fallen in place, I think I would have struggled with motivation. Well, maybe I struggled with motivation to wake up at the 6 a.m. hour until I knew there was a way to do it. Like socially, it was the social, it was the meeting a friend or having a friend, having a time and a place. I wouldn't have been motivated to do it myself.
And for example, do you always go to bed at a time that is reasonable for 6 a.m. or you don't even get up at 6 a.m. The class starts at 6 a.m.
Yeah, so you get up at 5.
Yeah.
But
do you always go to bed at a time that's suitable for that, or you don't, but you still get up? Or
sometimes I don't because it's not possible, or because I've messed up my what I needed to do that day, or I've just stayed up too late. But then I just still do it, and then I'll make sure I make up the sleep, like have a little nap later, or have an earlier night the next night. So I move everything else to make sure I can keep that 6 a.m. hour.
Because I think that's important to hear for someone, because it's like, you know, the same for me. I'm a personal trainer. I work in fitness. I train all the time, but I don't always go to bed at the perfect hour. And it's a little bit of, what's the word, like self-awareness of like, there might be times where, yes, it's right to rest, but most of the time you can get up and still do it. And if that's the only time you have to train is before work, before you go into work, then do it. But make sure that then there's balance, there's yin and yang. You're not just like then going out for dinner with colleagues till midnight and then back again and doing that back to back to back, because you will burn out, of course. Yeah. But as long as you're mindful of like, this is a priority for me, exercising. Yes. And so I'm going to do it, but that means tonight I'll come from work at 5, 6 o'clock. I'll rest a little, I'll cook dinner, and then I'll go to bed early. Then you can kind of, you know, even if one night isn't perfect and you don't get to sleep till like 11, midnight, you can kind of balance it out across the week. Yeah. And that people aren't getting it right. Like, you know, life is life, especially once you have kids. And even before that, like, life is life. Life's going to be getting in the way all the time, but that doesn't mean you can't do these things.
Totally. And if you didn't, I mean, I can honor the 6 a.m. hour as a priority because I have this predictably asleep teenager in the house. Like if it was a little kid, then there's no way I could like do the same thing at the same time every day, because they're changing what they do every day, you know, unless it was like once they go to school, then I go, or like, so the context around it is different too.
What is your proudest athletic achievement?
Oh yeah, it's in the future. and I'm so proud of myself.
It hasn't happened.
When I did it. That time I did a muscle up. I was so proud of myself. It hasn't happened yet.
Explain maybe what a muscle up for those that don't know.
Okay, so
what you want to achieve.
A muscle up is where you, at first, a muscle up on the rings is what I'm working on now, where you hold on to the rings, gymnastics rings, and you do a pull-up, and then you shift forward, and then you do a press-up, like a dip press-up. So you're pulling your body up. I mean, I was really proud when I first got my first pull-ups. Yeah, I was really proud of that. Yeah. And then muscle ups was the next one, but that was like, I mean, I probably got my pull-ups maybe 5 years ago. It's a long journey. I knew it would be for muscle ups, and I've had some injuries along the way that have slowed down the training, but people, my friends, you know, that I train with, like you, have achieved it. So I have people around me who make me feel like it's possible. And
definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. It's definitely possible.
It's fun to chase it, and sometimes I think, like, maybe I don't want to get it because I'm having too much fun getting it someday. Yeah. Do you ever feel like that with some of your goals? Like you'd rather like not do it yet? Like you hold yourself back because it's fun to have something to chase?
I don't know if I can feel that, but I don't know if I can quite envision that. But like I do really want the goal. But what I do know, and what the ring muscle up taught me, was like what was way more valuable than achieving the ring muscle up was the fact that I worked on it. And it made my pull-ups so much stronger, and it made my dips so much stronger. And I think if I was just working on get my pull-ups stronger, or get my dips stronger, and get my shoulders stronger, I think I would have got bored. And whereas because I was always chasing this muscle up, and I was like, I know to get the muscle up, I have to train it 2-3 times a week. So I got to find a time and find a way to fit it into my schedule, and I got to make it happen. That was what motivated me. But as a result, my pull-ups are really strong, and my dips are really strong, and my upper body's really strong, and I feel capable of doing a lot more with my body. I feel strong, and my parkour improved because of it. And so then the moment I got the muscle up, obviously it's great, and I was so happy, but what was way more important was that I put all that training in before. And that's what it gave me. And I guess for you, it's also joy in training, purely.
Totally. I do sometimes wonder if I like keep myself from like I've been working on a backflip.
Oh, yeah.
And I just love the journey of it, like how many times I don't land right. Like it's like so cool because I'm gonna get it someday, and everybody gets behind you and they're like, "You'll get it."
Yeah, you also have a very good backflip. Like I guess you don't want, not you don't want, you want a backflip. I guess you mean like a strict on the floor backflip.
Yeah, while I'm singing opera.
While you're singing opera.
To an audience of fans.
Or one time you saw me backflipping off a grand piano.
Yeah, that's my dream.
But I've seen you backflip, and like you have a really good backflip. Yeah, you have a really good backflip.
Into a foam pit or onto something very soft.
Yeah. Remember that time you face planted?
And then, and then I made a song out of it.
One time we were in a gymnastics. Do we need to wrap up?
I was just realizing, you have to catch a train.
We need to wrap up, guys.
But what were you going to say?
I was going to explain the time you face planted, but yeah, he face planted on a block in a gymnastics. I can put a link. I can put it on the screen. Yeah. It was just a very funny, concerning moment initially, but then very funny moment where you did a backflip and face planted the thing you'd taken off of.
That's it, and it just taught me what true love is. It taught me a big lesson. So the time I was on a creative journey, creating Venn diagrams all about what is connection and, like aspirational bond. And I realized that's what it was. That moment I hit my head, I was like, I know this doesn't make sense to anyone who's listening, but just trust me. It made sense. Yeah. When I hit my head, I was like, I made really great artistic discoveries in that moment.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much. Is there anything quick you'd like to say to someone just getting started who's like, I don't know how to get fit, I don't know how to start, it feels impossible?
Yeah, I think...
What should I do?
Well, if there's something you love to do, do that. If it's like you love to swim, then go find a way to do that. It really hurts my feelings when people are like, I really should go for a run. Because I'm like, no, like, don't run if that's how you feel that you should. Like, what do you want to do? Like, don't put your body through something that you feel like somebody thinks you should, or like do what you want to do. And then make connections or make friends, meet people in that context. And then you're on your way. Yeah. Because you'll then become the average of the 5 people around you, 10 people around you. And you'll learn through connection, like, oh, that's attractive to me. I'll try that now, and I'll go this way. And you'll show up the same place, the same time, and you won't look back. Yeah. I think.
Sweet. Yeah. I think that's good. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for being my first... Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks for being my first guest. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll be back soon with the next episode. La la la! Off to get a train now. Thanks, guys. Bye.